That was loud. Welcome to The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality, and you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm David Healy. I don't have a cute intro, but I do have a cute shirt. I decided to wear my milk shirt.
Oh,
There's
damn.
milk, or leche, my leche shirt.
Ew. Don't do that. Don't say that. No.
Okay, I won't do that ever again. But I'm just drinking some water right now. And I do have a cup mug as well. And you can get a cup mug too and any other merch at lonagcreations.etsy.com. We do ship internationally, so there are no excuses.
And hola, I am Eduardo, the Mexican representative of this podcast. I am here to talk shit and get hit. Today I am drinking water because today I'm going on a trip, so Lord knows I need to be as hydrated as possible.
And hi, I'm River, your Brazilian correspondent here on The Cup, and today I'm drinking some water out of my Madrid mug because I don't need anything to make me more agitated than I already am with watching this episode. So,
Yes, absolutely.
Very fair. And it was an episode for sure. It was one
Lord.
that had ups and downs, mostly ups, I would say.
Yeah.
But some very sad moments as well.
Yeah, if I had a nickel for every time I've cried in a makeover episode in this week, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this one, it was special in a different... I mean, I didn't watch the UK one, but this was really special for different reasons.
Yeah, it was just as you can, like, if for all of you people that are just listening and are not watching, in my banner it says I've never cried so much in my life, which I have never cried so much in my life. This episode broke me for real.
Mm-hmm. And we will get into all of that very shortly. But first, while you're here, please do us a favor, subscribe to this channel. Please like this video while you're here, and share this video with your friends, and leave us comments. We love those. And yeah, I think it's time to get into this episode. So we come back into the workroom right after the elimination of Meggie, and everybody's very emotional. Everybody's very sad. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Why are they, like Mariana said, this was bittersweet because I had to send somebody home and end their dream. And La Nina seemed very upset that Meggie's gone.
Yeah.
We missed something.
I think it seems like between the times of like when Angelita was there and once she left, like everyone kind of fixed all of their problems that they had with each other and started really getting along. And I think this was the moment of like, damn, I started actually liking Meggie and now she just left. I think it was that realization of like, well, I liked her. I started liking her and now she's gone. And it's wild to me. I also wrote it down. Like, I'm shocked that like all of these girls have been having arguments with Meggie this whole season and now they're crying over her going home. So like it really shows you how much they've grown and how much their relationship has like they all got along pretty well. And like this also just shows that Mariana and La Nina are just incredible people because they're able to forgive and forget. Like incredible. Like I'm a petty bitch. I would never.
I mean, but it shows that it really is that like sisterly relationship where like you fight, you get in an argument, but you at the end of the day, like you still love each other and you want the other person to be happy and all of that. So I feel like it's maybe that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. That's also true.
Yeah. And we do have Vampy noticing that we have one witch left standing, and that is Le Coco.
Yes.
Which I'm like, ooh, could it be kind of like a Ralaska Talks type of thing where Le Coco ends up taking the win, even though she's competing against a whole clique?
Maybe.
I mean, after this episode, I would be leaning towards yes.
It's looking very possible, but this feels very different from a Ralaska Talk situation, in my opinion, because the Ralaska Talk situation felt very much like we don't get along, we don't like each other. Like Jinx doesn't like Ralaska Talk doesn't like Jinx, and in here it feels very much like, sure, we are a friend group, and you are somewhat outside of that, but we still like you, and you know that you can still like believe in us. And there was not that sisterhood with Rolasco Talk, so it feels a lot nicer.
Mhm.
It's
For
also
sure.
two groups instead of like a group versus one person,
Yeah.
right?
Although Jinx
'Cause,
kind of had like Ivy in her in her clique, but
I
Ivy went
mean,
home.
yeah, but
Yeah.
and
Somewhat.
even when like the other girls from the clique that like Coco was in, like even when the girls were still there, Coco was kind of the one that was still kind of friends or friendly with everyone.
Mhm.
She
So
wasn't getting in fights.
Yeah, she was kind of like the
yeah, she
mediator
was
of a
like
lot of things.
neutral, I think,
Right.
mostly.
Switzerland. She was Switzerland. Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Sure.
Well, we do have the next day in the workroom. Everybody's gathered around the table, and then we get our video message from Supreme. And I thought that was interesting because in the video, Supreme throws an eraser at the girls, and it somehow magically goes through the video and flies out.
That got me. I didn't expect that, and it was so good.
It's magic.
Yet again, if I had a nickel for every time this season someone has thrown something at the girls, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot. But it's weird that it's happened twice. First it was a cup, and now it's an eraser. What is it with like this season, and throwing things at the girls? Like, what is
Right.
going on?
That's funny. Yeah, but Supreme comes in and announces that we're going to have a mini challenge. This mini challenge was interesting. So basically, it is a trivia mini challenge about LGBTQ history in Spain. But there is a catch. It's kind of like hot potato, but it's more like hot titty,
Yeah.
where each of the queens will be holding a balloon boob that is slowly being blown up, and they have to quickly answer trivia questions. A lot of dates. That ends up
Yes.
being a pretty common theme. But you have to be as quick as possible so you can hand it off to the next person because you do not want it. You do not want tit to explode while you're holding tit. So I thought this was really interesting. What did you all think
It
of
was
this challenge?
so funny. Like
Mhm.
the thing is, it was silly and fun, but informative at the same time. So like it was just really interesting to watch because it was entertaining in different ways. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it just felt like a party game that I've
Mm,
like seen like on like the morning shows or like something like that. Like it reminds me of Chabelo, which you won't get, but like it reminds me of like this morning show that we had in here in Mexico. And like it just feels like those games that they have for children where they like bring them up and ask them questions and they have to do, like it felt very nostalgic and very fun, and like I was enjoying everything that was going on. It was really fun and really cute, honestly.
I agree. There wasn't a lot with the questions that stood out to me. I think the one question that I thought was interesting because of one answer we got was somebody was like asking, wait, was this even part? Like now I'm might be confusing myself because I feel like this question was asked before the actual challenge start, but they asked about like when gay marriage was made legal in Spain, and somebody yelled out 2017, and it was 2005, and I'm like, how are you so far off? Like, how are you 12 years late?
Well, the thing is like
It was the
I
first
can see how
question
it can,
That's
to
right.
like
yeah,
introduce the game, I think.
I can also see how it can get complicated because at least here in Mexico, it's been really weird because there were several states here that legalized it, but it was not legalized in the whole country, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's a very like odd situation in which gay marriage was legal in several states way before it was legal in the
I see.
entire country, and so like there is a lot of debate of like when to take the date into account and like which it becomes a little complicated, and I can understand how that can happen in Spain as well because
Mhm.
technically in Mexico it was legalized in like what 2022 or something like that, like the entire country, but
Oh,
like around 2012 was when like most or majority of like the country started legalizing gay marriage, so it was it's kind of super complicated, and so like I understand why you could get this question wrong, especially from my point of view, which like from the information that I had before, I thought it was one date, and then I looked it up
Right.
and it was a different date, and I was like, what's going on here?
Fair.
What is going
Also,
on?
a lot of people are just not good with dates. So like
Yeah, that's also true.
it's
True.
fine. You know what I mean? It's fine. But I loved that this was a mini challenge that kind of had it was an introduction to the main challenge in a way. Like it had the same theme.
Mhm.
So yeah, I really enjoyed the way this episode happened. Like everything.
Yeah.
Me too.
Really good.
I do think some of the girls could have had better strategies with how they answered the questions, because they would be like going like 1 year at a time, like 2011, 2010, 2009. And it's like you want to make bigger jumps. And then if you hear one's higher, one's lower, okay, then start in the middle of those two. And if it's higher or lower, then start in the middle of that and the other one. That way you're getting there more incrementally instead of just taking like one year at a time. But
Yeah.
we did see the elimination order. So the first one out was Le Coco, then La Nina, then Chloe. It came down to Mariana and Vampi, and Mariana was the next one out, meaning Vampi won the mini challenge. Yay.
By like a few seconds, because she like Mariana answered the question and then before she could pass it on, it popped. Like
right. Yeah, it was like not enough time to hand it off because she got it right on the dot.
Yeah, right on the second, unfortunately.
But this was also Vampi's first mini challenge win, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
We haven't had a lot of mini challenges now that I think about it. Like we've had like a big like dry spell of mini challenges for a while, at least in Spain.
Yep. But as a winner of the mini challenge, Vampi will get a special advantage. But first, Supreme announces that there are going to be some special guests here, and she brings them out one at a time, and we meet these 5 legends of drag in Spain, which was really cool. I got super excited when I saw this in the preview last week, and so now actually watching it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool. And I kept thinking, like, who would it be if we did that in the United States? I don't know if you all like have equivalents that would probably be picked for Mexico or Brazil.
Immediately, the first thing I thought was, I hope they do this here, because there are some really like important older queens here we in the community, we just know that they would never like apply because they don't give up, like they don't, with all due respect, they don't care about being on Drag Race at this point, and with their like they still perform really well, but I don't see it, so I would hope that they do this here as well. But I do hope that some of these legends apply, actually.
I feel like I think there's one of them that I could see auditioning and getting on. I think the rest wouldn't audition, but I could see one of them. And I think that's, spoiler, I think that would be Mariana's partner, but that's because she's used to being on TV, she's used to being on screen, so like it wouldn't be a surprise. But like I agree, I would love to see these girls have, like these legends already have a platform, and having a bigger one would be incredible. But I also understand that, like, do you really need it? You're already a legend. Like, it's fine. Like the way I think about it, especially with like the US, because like I've been kind of brainwashed into having so much knowledge of the US queer scene, because like I've been watching Drag Race forever. But like Hot Chocolate would never audition to
Lady
be
Bunny,
on.
like,
but
no.
like
Jackie Beat, no, they they would never.
But like they are these icons that like I could absolutely see them coming into to do like this kind of challenge, like this makeover challenge,
or something similar to like what they did with Lady Bunny on All Stars 4, like for something like that,
right?
You know,
yeah.
There There's a queen that I saw perform back 7 years ago, and I think it was in Portland. And she was the oldest working drag queen at the time. Her name was Darcel. It's either so it's Darcel XV, and I don't know if I'm supposed to pronounce it as XV or 15, but either way, she was in her 90s working as a drag queen, and she's actually been mentioned on Drag Race. I remember right after I saw her perform the next season, in the workroom, there was a conversation where they mentioned her. I'm like, hey, I've seen her, I've seen her. But unfortunately, she did pass away a couple of years ago. But it would have been really cool to actually see her in a challenge like this on the show. So I guess we're robbed. But I'm sure there's plenty of other legends if they ever decide to do that for the United States.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want it to be like that the big ones that everybody knows, like the Jackie Beats, the Coco Perus, all of those. Like I would want it to be people that are still legendary, but maybe aren't like such a household name for people who are fans of drag. I think that would be pretty fun.
Yeah, this feels like one of those challenges that every season should have, or well, not every season, but every
Country, yeah.
country, yeah,
Franchise, yeah.
every franchise should have like
Right.
at least once, because I feel like it just really shows not only your country of the people like that are just starting to get into drag and drag race, like who is important, but also like to the world. I think that would be incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And I also love the way that they did it and they flipped. But you can explain the challenge. But I loved the flip that we had.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it. So Supreme does tell us that instead of being the drag mothers for these queens, they're going to be the drag daughters. So there's a completely new element. They will have to make from scratch their own looks to go with a look that each of the queens brought with them, which I thought that was really cool. I love this angle, actually.
Yeah, it's
Love
a makeover challenge and a design challenge. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
And in a little bit of the branding challenge, because you have to take inspiration from an outfit and a drag persona and mix with yours and do like, and so all of that, like you kind of still have to find a way to give you. So
Yeah.
I love it. I hope I really want to see this challenge again in another franchise, please.
Yeah.
For sure. So as her reward for being the mini challenge winner, Vampy gets to decide who's paired with which queen. So for herself, she picks Sergio Satanasa.
Yes.
Satanasa. And then for La Coco, she picks Manel Dargo. And then La Nina del Antro gets La Ochoa.
Yeah.
And Chloe gets La Patrick. And Mariana Stars gets Dolly Drag. So
yes,
I thought did an amazing job pairing that. Like I couldn't think of a better pairing for everyone. It was perfect.
Yeah, it's wild how well everyone got paired up.
Yeah, I was watching and I'm like, maybe there's a couple people I would have switched, but like for the most part, I'm like, how did you get this so spot on? Like, especially if they didn't even see the dresses beforehand. Because some of the dresses when I saw, I'm like, wait, maybe, did you know what your partner brought with her?
Fully. But they have a very similar last name, so maybe she was like, I know what you do.
True.
Also, she did say that she knows her. So, like, she probably was like, I know what you do. I know who you are. Come to me.
But we see some conversations in the workroom as everybody's getting to know their partners. First, we see La Coco talking to Manel, and Manel's talking about how it was difficult for things like to get into drag where she was, just because back in the time, like everything was so expensive and it was hard you just didn't have the accessibility that the queens have now. And she had a tailor.
You had to go out, look for it, buy it, like physically go look for it, buy it, less options, all of that.
And she had a specific tailor that she worked with, and I guess she was in debt with that tailor for 6 years, which, I mean, like now people can make drag for pretty cheap if they need to.
Yeah.
And I thought this was really cool, especially since we just heard about her on a different franchise. But the dress that she has with her apparently was given to her by Shirley Bassey. I'm like, what?
Wild,
That
absolute insanity.
wild.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
And so this
And-
just immediately becomes like the toughest task for the Coco, because she has
Right?
to,
How do you,
like,
how
how do you live up to that? Like, that's gonna be like one of the, like, if you gave me that challenge, I think I would start crying. I don't know what I would do. I would start losing my mind.
Yeah, like even like the zoom ups on the dress, I'm like, there's so much detail in the actual like construction of this dress. Like, it seemed like she had one of the harder tasks. I think one other person has a harder task that we'll talk about in a little bit, but this one I was like, yikes,
and
this
it's
is a
black.
challenge.
So like the
Mhm.
original dress had a lot of detail, so it showed well on a runway, but then making something in like that short amount of time in black and like to be able to show detail, and it's I felt so bad, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, next up we saw Dolly and Mariana talking, and Mariana wanted to know where she came up with the name Dolly, and she tells her that it was inspired by a character in a uh, Spanish film from 1996 about three drag queens. And I tried to Google and see if I could find out like more about this film. I couldn't find it, so I might have to do more research because I like old films like that. But yeah, that's where she got the name Dolly, and they're talking. And Mariana feels like they have a good connection because they both have this passion for the theater, and so that just kind of brought them together. But I thought they were really cute as a pairing here.
Yeah, this felt very like actually motherly. Like it felt like there was an immediate connection and immediate love for like theater, and they both knew it, and they both like there's a connection between theater kids that like it's just very weird, and so immediately like y'all start connecting with each other, and like I could immediately see that like connection of like, oh, we both really came from the same place, we're just different ages, and so I felt like a lot of respect came from not from both sides.
Es muy importante.
Es muy importante.
Yes. Next up, we had Ochoa and La Nina talking, and we find out that Ochoa's parents had a business called Ochoa, and that's where she got her name. But sadly, she left home at 17 because of problems with her father. They just were not getting along. So I'm like, tale as old as time, right? And she talks about moving to Barcelona and being part of the drag scene there, and how there were just so many drag performers and legends and trans women who just defied censorship at the time. And she even at one point um, spent some time in jail because they were arresting so many people. She said that like they arrested over 100 people at once, and she had to spend a whole month in jail. Which I'm like, yikes.
Eduardo, was she the one that did drag during like the Franco era? Yeah, right.
I think she
I
might.
think
Yeah, I think
so.
she was the one.
Because it was one of
Yeah.
them, but I couldn't remember which one. I think it was her.
I believe so, because Ochoa seems
Like
to be
if it is, that's
the
just
oldest
that's
legend out of all of them,
Right.
so it seems likely.
yeah.
Yep. They also talk about her music career, which actually becomes very interesting later on. I was like, "What the heck?" Because
Yeah.
she was talking about a song that she was known for that she did called "Liberate," and
Liberate, yes.
yes, and later on we have our lip sync with all the pairings, and I'm like, wait, this song is the same title. Is this the same song? And I looked it up on YouTube, and yeah, that's the same song.
Yeah, it is. I was like, I saw it and I was like, absolutely yes. Thank you very much. I really appreciated that.
That's funny.
Yeah, and also we learned later on that she had like what 14 records or
17.
more. 17
17.
records.
Mm-hmm.
Wild.
Wild. Insanity.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Next, we see Vampi and her partner talking, and they're basically talking about how it's really important. Like, if you want to have a long, successful career in drag, it has to be something you really love doing. And you can tell that all of these queens, like, clearly, it's something they're very passionate and they have immense love for.
I mean,
Um,
so much goes into it, like time, energy, money, like just it. It's a lot. If you really
Yeah.
want to do it. So like, yeah, it's if you don't love it, it's not gonna last that long. Like you're not gonna be able to do it for that long because it's I can't even imagine, honestly.
mhm.
Yeah.
So much respect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they also take a look at the dress, which immediately I'm like, wait, Vampy, are you sure you didn't bring this dress? Because this is your
This
style.
is this is literally like I was like, oh Vampy, why did you put your dress on the stand? Like this is not supposed to be your moment. And it
Hmm.
wasn't. This was hello? She knew what she was doing, absolutely. Like this is very
Mhm.
strategic, but also like
Hmm.
incredible. Like I love this. I love this.
Yeah, they talk about how it's very like Dracula inspired, but
Yes.
Vampy's like, wow, this is gonna be a big undertaking to match up with this in whatever I design. So we'll see if
Mhm.
she can live up to it or not. But next up, we have Chloe talking to La Patrick, and she's very happy to be with La Patrick because apparently the very first drag show she went to, um, Patrick was performing at, which is wild. Like,
Same.
how does that
That's
work out?
cool.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
just
we all live in like really big countries, so like Spain is not y'all like Spain is not that big. Like it's not that big, so
mhm.
I- it
True.
makes sense. It makes sense if you're from like the same state within Spain. Like it's not things are not that far, and if it's like the queer scene, it makes sense.
Hmm.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true, but I believe it.
I believe it too.
I believe it
Yeah.
as well. There was never like a question in my mind whether it was real or not. But like it just feels like destiny really like it's shown down on Chloe in this moment. Like,
Right.
this is your moment, girl. This is your moment. Have your moment.
Yep. But Patrick talks about like working as a waiter or waitress back in the 80s and being encouraged like while waiting to like just try out drag, like, oh, you should get in drag and go perform. So she took a risk, took a chance and did it. And she says that the very first time she did it, she had to use charcoal for makeup.
Wild. Charcoal
That
and
is,
watercolors. For
yeah.
makeup,
Yeah.
insanity.
Yeah.
Like
Like the
wild.
stories that we got this episode, this is why I there are some makeover challenges that is just like, okay. But it really truly depends on who the guests are for the makeover.
Mhm.
Truly. It really is about
Yeah,
that. And this was one of my favorite makeovers, period.
Mhm. I
I
agree.
agree. Yeah, it was so nice to hear all these little tidbits of like how drag used to be done, like way before like we had all these resources of the makeup and the foundation and everything, like using soap for your
Online
eyebrows.
shopping.
Like it's wild to hear like the charcoal, the watercolors, the soap, everything about it is absolutely wild. And it made me even realize like we're so fortunate to have the internet nowadays, because Lord have mercy, I would have never been able to do what these queens are able to do with
Hmm.
like the creativity is off the roof already.
Hmm.
I forgot about the soap, and that's
Oh, we haven't gotten to that part yet.
oh my god.
We'll get
Yeah, we'll
there.
get there, but like
Anyway, yeah.
Um,
since we're talking about similar things, I felt like
right.
it was
No,
appropriate
that's
to bring
fair.
it up at this moment.
That's fair. But Patrick also talks about how there were lots of issues with like when you were a drag performer, like leaving the bar in drag was not an option because apparently there were skinheads that would wait outside of the bars in groups just waiting to attack people. It's like, get a life. get a life. Like, why in
Get
the
a
world?
life, get a job, get a hobby, get a boyfriend, a girl. I don't know, anything, literally.
Mm,
Yeah. And what was also funny is that apparently half of them also wanted to hook up with them.
right.
Like that's incredible to me.
Well,
That's like, how can you be so like
shocking.
stupid in your mind to like be so hateful and at the same time like be so hateful to your own self and to your own people? Like you're asking for a queer person to do these sexual acts with you, but then you are going out of your way to hate on queer people. It's just like stupidity at its highest, truly.
hmm but like going to the dress that they have, I think Chloe was very overwhelmed looking at the dress that she had to recreate because there's a lot going on, a
Totally.
lot of mixed fabrics, a lot of ruffles, and she's like, well, I don't know how I can do this.
Yeah.
Uh,
If we know something about Chloe is that she's not very like folkloric, and this queen that she has, like La Patricia, seems like La Patrick, sorry, seems like is all about folkloric drag. So this is like gonna be super interesting to see. I was really excited.
mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
when I saw the dress, I immediately was worried for Chloe, but also it was my favorite dress,
Of course it
the dress,
was.
like
of course,
outfit.
you're a
Of course it was.
maximalist.
Yes.
Yeah, like
And
there
so
was.
I was like, ugh. It was so upsetting that the dress, because I feel like the queens were paired perfectly, but the dress went to the wrong person
Mm,
because in the right
Mhm.
hand it could have it oh my god, they could have come up with something so great based on that. So I immediately was like upset because I was worried about Chloe, but then upset because I knew I wasn't gonna get what I wanted to get from that dress. But
no,
anyway.
Yeah.
I agree, and this was the one I was alluding to earlier, where I think somebody else had a more difficult task because there is
Right.
like if you're going to try to recreate this or even like make a cousin type of dress for this, it takes a lot of ambition and ingenuity.
It's a
So,
lot
Mhm.
harder because you have to like first choose all of the fabrics that you're gonna mix, and then when you
Mhm.
go and do the pattern, you have to do with like the little squares, and like it is so much more work and harder to like think
Yeah.
before you like do actually like sew the thing, like the whole thinking and planning that you have to do before you actually sew the piece is so much more complex and it needs
Yeah.
so much more time. So I just felt so bad for Chloe.
yeah.
I literally wrote down Chloe's gonna have to use every single fabric in that workroom to come even close to the original.
Right.
Right. But we see all of the queens go forth and do. They finally start planning and working on their looks. But then we have a cut and we go to the next day in the workroom. Uh, the older queens come out first, and I'm like, wait, like it was jarring for a second because I just was not expecting. I'm like, what? It
Who
took me
is this?
probably a half a second to realize what was happening. I don't know if anybody else was so confused after.
I
It took
was
me like a bit. I had to like blink and then look again. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was looking forward for this moment because I knew it was gonna happen. I was like, they're not gonna like come back in drag like the next
right.
day. They're gonna come in out of drag. I cannot wait to see it. And once they came in, I was like, who are these? Oh wait, right. Okay, okay.
Yeah. It was hard to match up some of them. I'm like, wait, who are
Yeah,
you again? Which one? And
Hmm.
this is just an unusual, like, I think this is probably the first time in history for a makeover where the people have come out in drag, like up front.
Yes.
yeah, I think so.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Wild.
so we got our reveal, like we typically do in premieres of everybody out of
Yeah,
drag. Mm. But then the younger queens come in right after them, and they are all very exhausted. I'm sure they're playing it up, but they're like, "We have not slept at all last night because we were making our outfits all night." Um, and everybody gets in their pairings again. There's a few conversations, not a lot. La Nina is this is where La Nina asks her partner about the makeup that she does. She's like, I've noticed like you have a very specific way of doing your makeup, like, and she's like, yeah, I still do the same tricks I did back in the day when I first learned. We did not have access to a lot of different colors. So I use the same like colors, and when I was starting off doing makeup, I would have to use soap to cover my eyebrows, let it dry,
Wild.
and then paint my eyebrows above the soap.
I mean, that makes sense because if you put powder over like that, it makes sense. But it's just that's crazy. I love that,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and it smells good. So
Yep.
Probably
better
better
than
than
glue.
Elmer's glue, yeah.
Yeah.
We see Chloe talking about her look, and she's like, I don't know if I could really go with flamenco because it's not my style. Um,
Mhm.
but she tells us that she wanted to go with something more bratty, like that fits her style. So immediately I'm like, ooh, this is a risk. Is it going to pay off or is it not?
Yeah, I was
Um,
nervous.
we'll
I
see.
was worried.
Mhm. But there weren't really any other like sort of trauma Emmy moments that I can think of.
No, but there was one
No, not
thing
yet.
that. Oh, go ahead.
No, that was it. I just said not yet. We're not getting our Emmy moments
Mm,
for a few
Oh,
moments. We
no,
will
no,
get
no, no.
later.
But there was I don't remember exactly when, but it was before the runway where we had Vampy in confessional. She said something that I wrote down. It was my quote that I wrote down. She said, "This is not a challenge; it's a gift." And I
mm,
just really loved that comment. And I feel like it really sums up this episode.
right.
Yeah,
It
it
was a
felt
gift.
like everyone agreed with that this was more of an experience rather than a challenge.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But with that, it is time to go to the run. Okay, here we go. So we have our guest this week, who is Lola Rodriguez.
And she
Fabulous.
is
I'm
naked.
obsessed.
Hmm. Yeah,
Oh,
How is she
I'm
not
not
cold?
familiar with her, but she was great.
me neither, but
I
damn.
Yeah, I'm also not familiar, but I loved her. I
Mm,
loved her. I adore her.
Hmm. This is a very colorful group today. We got all sorts of representation here in color schemes.
mhm.
Yeah.
I
Um,
loved
Uh,
Anna's look, but especially the hair. Oh my
mhm.
god.
Absolutely. I was about to bring that up. Yeah. And also, I really
Mm.
appreciate that the Javis have just started coming out shirtless at this point. Like, yes, might as well, right? Like, that's what you're known for. Might as well.
Hmm.
I mean, sure.
I agree. Yeah, everybody looked good to me, but Anna was my favorite.
I
Surprise,
agree.
surprise.
Yeah.
Yep.
Surprise.
Um, so then we have our runway. So we're going to talk about the looks from this episode on Look Over Here. So please tune into that if you want to know our detailed thoughts on each look and our scores. But I want to try out something a little bit different. Let's actually take a look at the looks, and I'll talk about what the judges said about each of them, just so we have a good idea of what they thought before we go into the
And
judging portion.
and
Oh,
like
sorry.
because we had a few like moments on the
Hmm.
runway, right? So
Exactly.
we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Yes, we can talk about
Mhm.
that with those
Yeah.
looks as well. So the category is legends.
Yes.
Um,
Leyendas.
yes. Okay, so first up we had Vampi and her partner Sergio.
Sergio.
Okay, um, so basically they said they saw the connection between Vampi and her partner the whole time. Um, they thought that Vampi was missing some touches of color because there's like little pops of color in her partner's makeup and nails. Um,
The hair,
yes,
especially,
Yeah.
of
right?
course the hair too.
Yeah.
Um, but Sergio says that Vampi is her daughter for life, and Supreme. And this was one of my favorite things about this episode is hearing the judges talk about each of the five older queens' histories and how they may have had an impact on them. But Supreme brings up remembering seeing her perform in Madrid and was amazed with everything she was doing because this was one of her very first exposures to drag. Was amazed just seeing these tall women in their high heel shoes and just wanting to
Yeah.
know more about it. So I thought that was adorable seeing the impact that this queen had on Supreme.
Yeah, like when Supreme is telling you, like, you inspired me to like do what I do, you know that you are like in another level. Because Supreme is already like up there when it comes to like judges and drag queens and everything. But like if you're getting that comment from someone at this caliber, like that just really told me everything that I needed to know about Sergio and like the high caliber of like and the amount of respect and love that these people have for her. Like I adored this moment and I adored every single moment that we had with like all of the queens, but like you just know you're important when Supreme tells you that.
Right.
I mean, this is the queer art that we need to protect. Period.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Megami was
This is
talking
what
about
Megami
this.
meant.
This.
Yep. Okay, next we had Mariana and Dolly. So Anna tells them that the outfit that Mariana made, it reminds her of a few things that she's seen her wear before, and it's a bit simple compared to everything else that everybody's wearing. And then Javi, this was the part that got me. Javi
Mm-hmm.
Ambrosi started telling a story about an 18-year-old boy who
Mm-hmm.
was just finding his way, finding his group of people as a young queer person, and hanging out at a bar and seeing a drag queen for the first time and how much of an impact it had on him. And it turns out he was talking about himself seeing Dolly perform. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so touching.
Yeah, this is
Everybody
when
I
I
mean,
was.
I kind
started
of knew where it
crying.
was going from the start, but
Mhm.
it got me
Mm-hmm.
anyway. Like, I'm a crier. I've always been.
Mm-hmm.
And as I get older, I am more of a crier every day. So I'm used to it, but this episode really got me. I had to like pause to be able to clear my eyes so I could read the subtitles from all the crying. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, this is when they started crying, and I didn't stop from this point onward. Honestly,
Right.
mhm.
And Supreme tells Dolly how important she has been in increasing the visibility that drag artists have by being a person who is on television frequently and just getting that visibility to households. Which, not knowing anything about Dolly, I think that's really cool to hear, and just know that she's one of those people. She's like one of those legends that we have here in the United States that's been on TV, and but she's that for the people of Spain, and I thought that was really cool.
yeah,
Definitely.
adorable.
Hmm. Okay, our next duo we had was La Nina del Antro and Ochoa, and they're talking, and La Nina says that she knew immediately when she saw the green wig that this had to be her partner.
Yeah.
Supreme, this is where Supreme asks how many albums she's had, and she said that she's had 17. And Supreme says that she remembers growing up, her parents had some of her albums on tape, and so that was her kind of first exposure to Ochoa. So that also like made me realize, oh, wow, she is
Supreme's parents are so cool.
right.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
amazing.
come on. Work.
Hmm.
I just, I think Ochoa might be like one of my favorite like overall like makeover partners that we've
Hmm.
had
Mhm.
just ever. I just adored her, and it just felt like grand having her here. Like it felt like,
Yeah.
oh, this is like the entire episode felt like this is a moment, but with Ochoa, it really felt like, oh, this is bigger than like anything else that we've had ever in life. Like this moment really was like, oh, we're really going for it, and we have reached limits that we never thought we would reach.
Exactly.
And if there is a pair that looks truly like mother and daughter, it's them.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah, and they didn't get a lot of critiques on the look specifically, but Javier Calvo talks about how her journey has been, La Nina's journey from the start, like from being lip syncing in the very first episode, and here she's come
mhm.
all this way. And you can tell that Lola, the guest judge, was very connected to La Nina. She calls her a
Mhm.
star, and she got very emotional. She was tearing up, just appreciating everything she was seeing here. Okay, next up we have Le Coco and her partner Manel. And let's see here. Supreme talks about how she remembers seeing Manel in spaces where she would do acrobatics in different theaters, and how it's important for this queen to have drag spaces like that, the theater, like not just bars, like other types of venues. And Manel echoed that. She's like, yeah, it's very important to me. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, just a note on that. It is like that is really something that for me affects me personally because I don't drink. So, it, like especially in a country that most people drink. But like I really wish that we had more drag in other spaces. Like
Yeah.
live drag, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
As a lover of theater and as a lover of drag, I truly like will always appreciate when in a show there is a drag queen. I will always appreciate it, and I'm so glad that we're getting more and more of it as time goes on. Like Jinx has now been on Broadway, Peppermint has been on Broadway. Like
Milan, I think,
I
right?
wouldn't
Yeah, ran
know.
for.
Oh, okay, great,
For
wonderful.
Sweeney
Like
Todd, I think,
Oh,
a
I would
while
not,
yeah.
ago. But
I
yeah,
would not know. I just know of
I mean,
Jinx
Willem
and
said it
Peppermint.
on Race Chaser, so it must be true.
Yeah, because Willem is known for telling truth. Anyways,
No, but I
uh,
think actually that is true. But anyway,
yeah, I'm not
not
questioning you. I'm
100% sure.
just I'm just joking with you.
Yeah.
But like I always adore that like we're starting to get to a point where drag is like super appreciated in theater, and I will always adore that, and I'm so excited that she is one of these queens that really support that.
I mean, it does make sense also because it is one of the places where it came from. So it makes
Absolutely,
total, like, it's natural,
yeah.
right?
Like
So yeah.
Mariana started drag because of theater. So like that already tells you everything that you need to know and why it's important to like why theater is important to drag.
Yeah, and Rose and Willem were both in Titanic on off Broadway. Forgot about that.
Wasn't that on the West End?
No, it's in New York.
Okay, no, because I thought they did, but it was like in the like London
Oh, was
Broadway.
it? Okay,
I think, or maybe it was Michelle.
maybe.
I don't know.
That sounds
Anyway,
more likely. I'm gonna be so honest with
anyway,
you.
Yeah.
yeah.
But we do get some feedback for Le Coco. Calvo says that he's used to something like seeing a different quality and different aesthetic from Le Coco. And Supreme says it's not poorly done. It's just not on the level of Manel's outfit. And
Or
then,
what we usually get from Le Coco, right?
right.
Yeah, like she set the bar so high that like there was just we will get to it, but like there's so such heights that you can reach, and sometimes it's kind of impossible to reach over them.
Exactly. Okay, and then our final pairing, we have Chloe and her partner, La Patrick. And they say Chloe talks about how she was worried about doing flamenco, especially because she was in the bottom for a character that she did that had that sort of angle to it, and so she wanted to do things a little bit different. Both of the hobbies really celebrate Chloe's boobs.
Yeah.
They're obsessed with her boobs. This is
I
just a very
don't
pro boob
understand
episode.
what happened with all of that. I mean, I don't really mind Chloe's boobs. I don't think they are necessary. Period. But it not bothered by it either. So I don't understand the whole like the praising of it as well,
Right. That's
right?
fair.
It's just like
I think it's
it's
a thing
neutral.
of
I don't know.
like you finally found the correct moment to use the boobs because
Mhm. Yeah.
before they weren't really necessary and they didn't really fit what you were going for. And in this
Mhm.
situation, as we can clearly tell, her mother has
Yeah.
giant breasts.
Mhm.
So like it just like I think they were like telling her like you're kind of finally taking the critique that we gave you of like
Mhm.
time and place and doing things when you need to, and this is the perfect time to use the moves that we've seen you use before that have fallen flat before. And this time it didn't fall flat. I think that's what they're praising, but I think I do agree with you. It is a little like over the top. It was like they were screaming and they were standing up, and I was like, okay, okay. Like I was
Right.
super
Like
happy
it's
for
okay to
Chloe.
comment like what you said, like, oh, you finally found like the correct way and time to use the boobs. Like that is a good, understandable
Mhm.
critique. But to be like, oh my god, this is incredible. This is oh my god, never been
Yeah.
done before. Not
What
afraid to
I
reference or not like, okay, we got it.
Yeah,
Cool.
what I wish they critiqued her more on, and because I think this is one of the best things that Chloe did, is that she really showed like this incredible connection with her partner. Like it's so clear that they're like in the same mindset, that they're from the same drag universe, and that they love each other, and that they support each other, and that they really adore each other's drag. And I wish that we got more of that praise. Like that's the kind of praise that I would give Chloe the most in this situation. Like you can clearly tell that she's having so much fun with it, and that she's finally kind of really letting go and being like her like most truest self in this situation.
Mhm.
And I think that's like my biggest up with Chloe, and I wish they had the same like energy for that.
Yep, I agree. Supreme does talk to Patrick about her being involved in the cabaret scene and how she's been such a great example of what drag cabaret can be.
Mhm.
So that was pretty much all of the comments we had during that portion.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then we have everybody go off to Untucked. They're all chatting. One of the older queens, I thought this was cute. She's like, "We are now five mothers for five daughters. Like we're all your mothers." And La Coco in the confessional, she's like, I think I'll just stick with my one because that's a lot of mothers to have to get gifts for on Mother's Day." This is why I
Literally.
loved La Coco from the very start. Like her
She
sense of
is
humor.
I get it, David. I get it now. She grew on me fast,
Yeah.
but like every episode is just I love her more. I just
Yeah, and
so
what will
funny.
happen moving forward will make me love her even more. But this was really fun. This situation was really fun. But I also thought it was weird that they were like, I have no clue who's gonna be in the bottom two. And there were only two queens that got slightly negative critiques, and I was like, I think it's pretty obvious. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It was pretty clear, but La Ochoa was like, "There's not going to be anybody going home this episode," and we got another like confessional from La Coco, and she's like, no, she doesn't know how this works. Somebody's going
Hmm.
home."
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
I mean,
no.
if we didn't have a double shantay like before in this season, I could see it. I honestly could see it.
Mhm.
But no,
Yeah, no.
not no.
Yep. And La Nina gets very emotional and Untucked for Chloe because she's just so happy, like hearing the overwhelmingly positive critiques that Chloe got, and I'm like, this is so sweet. I love them.
Yeah, their
La
friendship is
Niña
incredible.
is I just love her so like she's one of my favorites of this season. I love most of the cast of the season, but like she has a special place in my heart. I just
Yeah,
it's a
I've
big
never
heart.
gone into a top five being like, I literally could be happy with any of these queens winning in any way,
Hmm.
shape, or form. Like, I don't care who's gonna win. I'm just like, I just feel joy. I just feel
Mhm.
joy. And like, after the whole season of fighting to end with like this great amount of joy, I just felt incredible. And I kept crying. I started crying again.
Right.
Yeah, this is a season that I wouldn't mind if we had a season 14 moment of like having a top five at the end. Like I
I
wouldn't
was
mind
thinking about
with
it for a
this top
moment as
five.
well.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, we do have everybody come back to the stage from Untucked, and instead of going straight to judgment, we find out that they will be talking to their younger selves. Um,
Lord.
yeah. Were there any
here we
standout
go.
moments for you all during this?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I literally wrote down, "Oh my god, Lecoco is fucking crying. Everybody sound the alarms." Like this is truly the first moment, well, not the first moment, but like really the first moment where we see like Coco cry and be as vulnerable as she was in this episode.
Right.
And that vulnerability made me love her even more. And that second where she started crying and talking to herself and like telling herself that like all of the things like that the person that she loves the most is gonna be the one that's gonna hate her the most. And like the entire thing, which like absolutely hurt my heart, but at the same time I was like, I think you just won the crown with that. I think you just won the season with that. And like I as a just like you, River, the Cocos has grown on me so much throughout the entirety of the season, and at this point, she like is one of my favorite queens ever, and this moment really like solidified that for me.
Yeah, for me it was like Coco for the same reasons, and just with we have different stories, but it resonated with me a lot with like having the person that you love the most break your heart the most throughout your
Yeah.
life, basically. So yeah, I feel that very much. Um, and with Vampy as well, but like we already had her story, so it wasn't as emotional. Because like Coco was, it was like the first time that she really opened up.
Yeah.
But I really resonated with Vampy's speech as well, very much.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with those. I think the only other thing that stood out to me in a like a funny way was La Nina at the end of her speech. She's like,
Yes.
"Oh, and by the way, your bullies, they're gonna want to hook up with you."
Oh my god,
This is why I love her. This is why I love her.
Hmm.
so iconic. That's what a way to end a speech.
Right.
I mean,
Absolutely.
But we do get some results. We have a top two this week. And our top two is Chloe and La Nina. Come on, girls. Like, who would have guessed
I
that at
was
the semifinal episode, these two, the one that was perpetually safe and the one that was in the bottom a lot, would be the top two going into the finale?
who would have thought? Who would have thought?
not me.
And yeah, I when this episode started, I was like, okay, one of these two is gonna go home, and then they both did
Right?
amazing, and they were both in the top two, and I've never been so happy to be wrong. I've never been
Right.
so happy to be wrong.
But here's the thing. We'll get into it more on Look Over Here, but
I know exactly where you're
Yeah,
going, and I
I
agree.
agree with you as well. I agree with you as well.
exactly.
But
Yeah,
it's the vampy of it all, right?
No,
No?
no.
for me,
For me,
for
look, am I happy that Chloe was in the top
Okay, yeah.
and went to the finale? Yes, because I like Chloe.
Hmm.
Do I think Chloe had one of my two favorite makeovers? No.
yeah, no.
So that's where I'm a little like, am I'm happy? Yes. Do I agree with the results? No.
Right.
But
Yeah,
My
but
assumption
I'm not
was
mad.
that we would all probably have put Vampy in the top two. Am I
I
wrong?
I would have. I
Because I
personally
Yeah.
would
definitely
have.
would have. In fact,
Yeah.
Vampy would have been my winner this episode.
Not for me personally. For me, my winner would have been La Nina.
Okay. And I totally
Yeah,
get
me
that.
too. It would
And
be Nina and then Vampy.
You
Yeah.
see,
I
for me, last episode I would have given the win to Chloe, and this episode I would have given it to La Nina,
mhm.
so that we were a little bit
Mm.
more spread out. So that Chloe already had her win last episode, and so this episode wasn't like a make or break moment for her.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would have given it to La Nina here.
In fact, I probably would have had Chloe in the bottom two personally.
Me too.
Me too, honestly.
Okay.
Did
But
I like it still? Yes, but
mhm,
I liked
Yeah,
everyone's makeovers.
yeah.
So
right.
it comes to who did I like the least,
Yeah.
which I still liked. So
Here's the thing with Chloe for me. When it came to the presentation, she was the queen that had my favorite presentation. However, the challenge itself was the look and the makeover. And the look of itself was not my favorite. So therefore, I was really struggling to where to put her, but if we're critiquing more on the actual look and on the actual like makeover, she would have been in my bottom two.
Mhm. I felt like of everybody out there, they all had good looks. I wanted to look for some sort of cohesion. They didn't have to match. I wanted to see
Mhm.
them in the same like drag planet. And for me, Chloe and her partner were just too different. Like there were not enough. There were some
They
ruffles.
look,
That's
they look like they were going to the same event, but
Mhm.
they didn't look like mother and daughter or
Right.
like same
yeah,
family,
Yep.
right?
yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. But with all of that said, we do get our winner, and it is Chloe.
You know what?
And
I'm
hey,
happy for her. I am happy for her.
It's like a
period.
consolation prize for doing so well throughout the season. Like, I think she's been one of the most consistent people.
Yeah, yeah. And I was really, really happy to have Chloe have a win.
Mhm.
Like, I've been wanting her to have a win from like a while ago, and it felt nice to have the judges finally see the talent that we've all seen Chloe have for a while. And it does feel like, oh, we haven't been giving you the wins that, or like that top placement that you deserve. So this is the moment that we're gonna like make it up to you by making you the first finalist.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, she
Oh, but
is.
one thing, because here's the thing. Thinking about and like putting my producer hat on, this makes sense because it makes sense to me if
Mhm.
production wanted to have Chloe in the finale, they probably thought, okay, we don't want to bring her to the finale without a win,
Right.
so we're gonna
Mhm.
give her the win. So like, it makes sense. I don't necessarily agree, but like I said, I love to see Chloe in the finale. So
Yeah.
I agree. And this does make so 9 episodes. We've had 8 different winners for 9 episodes, which is wild, and it has to be a record. It
is the
has to
only
be.
Probably.
person with more than one win Le Coco?
Yeah,
Yes.
the only person who's gotten more than
She's
one
the
win
only one.
this whole season.
Wow.
But Chloe is our first finalist. We find out La Nina is our second finalist. Vampy is our third finalist, which means we do have a bottom two of Le Coco and Mariana Stars. And immediately I was like, no, not my two favorites from the season.
Yeah.
Literally.
This. Yeah, and it was in this moment where I was just like, it is over. The dream is over. Unfortunately, I don't think Mariana can make it out of this alive. And spoiler, she didn't. Uh, but like, she gave a damn good fight. She gave a
Oh,
really damn good fight in that lip sync. But like, it felt like it was like once the critiques were given, I was like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I didn't think it was gonna happen, but it's becoming a reality, and I had to really, really quickly like make amends with that, which was really unfortunate. But yeah, I will say I do agree with Lekoko being in the bottom two. Uh, she was my least favorite, so I it when you have someone that's been in the top almost the entirety of the season, and then you have someone that's been doing ups and downs, it's just like, okay, we know what's gonna happen,
Mhm.
which is unfortunate. But as I said, Mariana gave a damn good fight.
She did.
yeah, I
I
don't agree with Le Coco being in the bottom.
same.
And lip. I mean,
Okay.
because we only had like a top two, I would agree that she would be like in the bottom three,
Mhm. I
technically.
think we probably have the exact same rankings.
Yeah, exactly. Like she would be third for me, for sure.
Well, we might
Like
have a
middle.
different win. We might have a
Or
different for the top
no
two,
wait.
but other than that, I think we're in the
And I'm
same.
the weird one.
Wait. No, it would be La Niña, Vampy, Le Coco, um, Chloe and Mariana. That's
Fair.
That's very close to mine.
for
I
me.
just would have given the win to
So
Vampy.
yeah, but
Fair.
I'm glad that we got to see Le Coco lip sync. That's
Mhm.
Yeah.
before the finale. That's the thing.
Yeah, and it kind of
But
like
yeah,
evens out.
Mariana did a great job in the lip sync. But I, with how well Le Coco has been doing and her performance in the lip sync, like I just, as much as I love my girl,
It
I
was a done deal.
it's yeah, I have to agree with the results.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
I agree. I think this is one of the closest lip syncs I've seen all year, to be honest, just
Mhm.
because I like them both pretty equally. But for me, just knowing that this is the third time Mariana's had to lip sync. If she went into the finale, I don't think I would have hope for her actually being able to get the crown. And since these are my two favorites, I would rather the person move forward that I think can win, and that is Le Coco.
Right.
So
Yeah,
for me,
I agree.
I'm happy with the
Mhm.
results because I do
No,
want to
that
see her
makes
get
sense.
that crown.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, David.
Mhm.
That's exactly how I felt as well.
We did
Yeah.
have Lana wasn't able to make it. She had something come up pretty last minute, but she did want us to let the viewers know that she thought the lip sync was amazing, and she can't believe that she was about to say this, but she thinks this could have been a double Shantae, and that's rare coming from Lana.
If Lana said that, you know this was a damn good lip sync.
Mhm.
I mean, I thought it was a really great lip sync, but I would have to disagree with Lana.
Mhm.
Although I would like to see a double Shantae for these two. I don't
Yeah,
think the lip sync was double Shantae worthy, but I wish it would have been.
Fair.
yeah.
But it was not, and we do get our eliminated queen, and it is Mariana. No, I'm so
When
sad.
this
This
happened,
is not a good day for Latin
for like,
America in
yeah,
general.
fully.
Um,
This in this moment, I started sobbing so much. It was kind of insane. Like I couldn't even see the screen. Like I was overwhelmed with emotions, but at the same time, there was some calmness to it. It was like, well, this is upsetting, but like my other favorite queen now has a chance to win the season, and like it was bittersweet because I was like, I've never wanted to like Mariana's was my favorite of the season, but like I it just I don't know how to really describe the feeling that I was feeling because I was really like upset, but at the same time, as I said, there was this calmness to my sobbing.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
I felt a similar way. It was just as much as I agree with the results, it was just sad and upsetting. But um, I feel like I don't know. She would be a great person to come back for All Stars because
Hmm.
she doesn't have like much that she needs to work on really. Like it's a few specific things, but it's not like it's just elevation really, and like a few things that she's not the best at, like the roast and all of that. Like,
Just
but
give her a couple of years, and she's gonna be
right,
absolutely
exactly,
perfect.
exactly.
Yeah, and I honestly think she's somebody who could do well on a different franchise, like some sort of UK versus the world or something like that.
Yeah,
Because
I agree.
I'm not sure, I'm not sure she was always appreciated as well as she could have been by this panel. Because there were a lot of times where I'm like, oh, her placements are questionable. But maybe that was just my bias for her. But I just really enjoyed her. Like she would have been in my top most weeks probably.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and if Mariana, if you're watching this, which let's be for real, you probably are. I just wanted to tell you in case you are watching this, and if not, that's okay. I still want to like get this out there. Uh, you made Latin America proud. You truly did.
Very
You
much.
you you are such an inspiration, and you are like such an incredible human being. And I am so happy to have gotten to see you on screen and to have like know that you like know that we love you and that we appreciate you so much and that you gave us the time of day to even listen to our opinions is absolutely overwhelming. And to have you represent all of Latin America here in Spain means more than like any words that I can really describe and tell you. Like truly I bow to the thank you so much. I love you so much.
I will just second that because you put it so perfectly. And I'm just gonna end with we stand Mariana Stars. This is a Mariana Stars stan account.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
For
So
sure.
yeah,
I agree too. And Mariana, I know your mom is proud. I loved her little tribute to her mom at the end.
I love that.
Okay.
relatable. I mean,
Yeah, mommy,
Hmm.
if you're
oh,
watching this, I hope that you're proud of me. I love you so much. That's adorable.
ugh,
That's like, if you like, that's a way to leave. That's truly like an iconic way to leave. Mom, I love you so much. a way to leave the stage. Damn.
It is. Well, we do have a draft update.
I got
and,
points.
No!
Finally, I
Do we
got
have
more than 3 points.
So now that we have information that this is not going to be a 12-episode season like España usually is, this is going to be an 11-episode season. The reunion is next week and then the finale. With that said, that means the draft is basically done. There is a winner.
Yeah.
So in fifth place, Eduardo with 30. Oh, actually, sorry. In fifth place is now River with 34.5.
Well, fuck my drag.
Eduardo, you're now in fourth place with 36 points.
Thank you, Chloe.
Logan is in third place with 45 points. Lana is in second place with 68.5 points. And then I am in the lead with 78 points. I have a 9.5 point lead, which is impossible to overcome, especially since I have 2 people in the top 4.
Yeah.
So, yay
disgusting.
me.
Well,
wow. David won another draft. Who would have thought?
congratulations.
Well done,
Steve.
David. Congratulations.
You deserve it.
Thank you. I haven't won that many, so I will take the wins when I can.
Right, of course.
But thank you all for tuning in. This was a fun episode. Honestly, I'm gonna break the fourth wall. I was not in a great mood coming into this podcast for various reasons, but just talking about the episode definitely lifted my mood because it was such a good episode. So thank both of you for helping to get me in a better headspace.
Well, you're welcome.
Yes.
We love to help.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for watching. And
Yes,
since you are watching, why don't you do us a favor? Please subscribe to this channel. Please do it. I don't know why you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, share this video with your friends, leave comments. Let us know who team you're on. I'll just say
You
I'm
agree with
team.
the results. Who would have been your winner?
Mhm.
Your bottom 2. We want to know.
I'm going to say I'm team Le Coco.
Same.
Anybody else? Okay.
I am also Team Le Coco.
Okay. Well,
I
In
wouldn't
this
be
house,
mad,
we are
though.
Team Le Coco.
We are Team Le Coco, but I wouldn't be mad if Vempi won as well.
mhm.
Or
As I've
any of
said
them.
before,
But you know.
yeah.
They're
As
all.
I said before, I've never come into a situation in which I've really not cared who wins. Truly, I would be ecstatic with anyone winning.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So let us know if you're in the comments and you're like, "What the heck? I'm Team Chloe." Tell us because we want to know.
Yes, please.
Yep.
We love Chloe.
But yes, you can also follow any of our social media. That has been scrolling on the bottom there. And if you want, you can check the description below and you can find any sort of podcast platforms where you can listen to this in audio form, which is what I do. And you can also go to lanagcreations.etsy.com where you can get merch, including a cup mug. But we have other things there too. Just check it out if you're curious. You might be like, wait, they have socks? They have cup socks? I could have been getting that this whole time.
Yeah, we have
do.
shirts.
We do. We have all sorts of things. So go check it out. But for now, we are going to get out of there. So cheers.
Cheers.